You already know who the fuck it is. Asharenu. We back in this bitch. Once again. Now, if you see some tissue in my left nostril, I'm doing that on purpose to get the breath to flow through the right. Now, I don't want to take up too much of anybody's time, so we're going to get straight to the point. All right? The occult rites of passage. Right? Now, what is all this? Now, I'm going to tell you about my personal journey. Can't speak for nobody else, but I can speak for myself, right? That's all I can do. Now, what do I mean by this? What's up, Moon Spirit? What's the deal? As you have seen, because I really don't have to speak. I already showed and proved with the YouTube. Y'all already seen me all over the country, right? So I don't really have to speak. But I want to give y'all my personal journey so y'all can understand, how my mind works a little bit more. What's up? What's up, beautiful journey? What's the deal? So I just want to give y'all a quick timeline at how I arrived at the conclusions I arrived at. You've been missing the wisdom. I'm still dropping videos like every day or every other day. See, the reason why I'm focusing more on astrology and I'm doing the videos the way I'm doing them now is because it's necessary to know what I'm talking about. When I do these videos, it's like I speak in code, right? Again, I got this in my nose, so don't nobody I'm doing this on purpose, so it's not nothing weird, not a booger, it's a piece of tissue, so don't worry about it. But I know most of my videos, it's like I'm speaking in code, right? Most people don't know what I'm talking about. Because it's like, if you don't understand, what's up, Queen of Success? If you don't understand the lingo, it ain't gonna make sense to you. You need to understand the lingo, so it's my responsibility to teach you the lingo. So when I'm saying stuff, when I'm talking about numbers, when I'm talking about all this stuff I'm talking about, you will know what I'm talking about, as opposed to if you just watching the video, you hear me, but you don't listen. Or in other words, I'll say it differently. You hear the words that come out of my mouth, but you don't comprehend it because you don't necessarily have it up here already. Hold on. Y'all already know. Anyway, there wasn't shit going on before I stepped outside. Anyway, let me actually post up right here for a minute. So like I was saying, just because I speak don't mean you comprehend, especially if it's not already up here. If it's already up here, then you can understand more of what I'm saying because you already have it up here. You already have it on cap. As they say in the hood, right? You gotta already have it on top of the dome. So when I throw out little things, when I say 333, Aries, astrology, Taurus, and I'm just throwing out all these astrology codes, you should already know where I'm at. But of course, I don't just speak on astrology. I speak on everything occult. But again, we just building the foundation. So let me just give y'all a quick timeline for those who may not understand. And for those who do understand, but who want a little more detailed and like, okay, well, because I know the information that I present is a little left for some people, right? What's up, Kush Goddess? So where am I right now? I'm in a new phase. What do I mean by a new phase? No meat, no starch, no drugs, all right? No meat, no starch, no drugs. Only thing I'm eating, fruits, veggies, brown rice. That's it, for the most part. I may have a little snack here and there, little holistic or healthy snack, But that's it. That's it. Why am I doing it? Because when I think back at my journey, because most of the time I be going through so much stuff, I don't have time to process it. Obviously, again, if you've been tuning into the YouTube, you see, again, I'm all over the place. I'm talking about all this stuff. Sometimes I have to slow down and process what's going on because I be going at hyper speed. Because, like, again, my mind is unlocked, just like your mind is unlocked. So it's like so much stuff be rushing in, you have to have a little time to process it. So what am I talking about? I'll take you back to when I was a teenager. And again, I don't want to make this too long. Let's just get straight to the point, right? What's up, Precious? So, I don't like to get too personal in my videos, but I'll get personal in this one because I don't live stream as much because I'm just switching things up. I want to show, like, yo, I'm good with the pen as well. I can illustrate. So right now I'm more in my illustration phase where you can see me working the pen and I can show you more than me just speaking, because when I speak, you don't really gather the full picture. When you just hearing words out of a person's mouth, sometimes you need to see the visuals. So I'm just all about showing and proving the visuals. That's all I'm doing for right now. Again, I could live stream every day like I used to, but I'd rather show and prove the visuals. So I already showed y'all. But let's get to the point, right? So, how did I personally know? Because I'm talking about the occult rites of passage. How did I know that it was for me? Before I even gave a fuck about the occult, that stigma was already thrown on me. What do I mean? What I mean is, I was already being called a so-called devil worshiper before I was ever into the occult. People were already calling me that, just based off of who I was. Not necessarily about what I was doing, but who I was. It was in me. Other people seen it before I seen it. So I was already, you know, as a teenager, a young buck, a teenager, already talking about just being around people who, you can say, like we like to say people are ignorant, right? If they're not on the level, if they're not on the zone, right? People are ignorant, people are still religious, but they still can perceive when something is kind of off, or something that they can still feel real energy. Even if they don't understand it, they can still feel real energy. Because they can feel real energy, they know when something is up. So again, I've been called the devil worshiper since I was a teenager. So before I even knew anything about what that means, what it symbolizes, I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? But it made me think, if people think that I'm about that life when I wasn't at the time, then maybe it is something about that stigma that resonates with me that I didn't see it yet. Because of course, you know, you a teenager, what do you know? What do you know about life, right? So once I started to take it seriously, I'm like, okay, what is this all about? I started doing my research. I did a ritual in 2013. I started my YouTube channel. Let me actually walk over here so y'all don't have to hear all this fucking traffic. So I want to be as clear as possible. So give me 1 second. Let me cross this street. I started my YouTube channel 2013, October 2013. I didn't start uploading videos to December of 2013. If you go back, the first things I was uploading was binaural beats, right? Before I ever started speaking about anything, I was uploading binaural beats or isochronic tones for those who understand the lingo. Before I ever opened my mouth and said anything, because I was already into that. On the winter solstice of 2013, which is a couple days before Christmas, about December 23rd, I just did the video yesterday about the secrets of the number 23. If you didn't see that, definitely check it out if you are into numerology. All right. So, December 23rd, 2013, I did a ritual, my first ritual. Actually, not my first ritual. My first ritual to that extent. I say it like that. I did my first ritual to that I would say real ritual. I was kind of playing around with shit beforehand, but I'm talking about serious. 2013, December 23rd. That's when everything changed. After I did that ritual, I started to speak because shit started to happen to me. I'm like, this shit is crazy. So I started to speak about my experiences. Not what I looked up, not what I researched. I started speaking about my personal experiences based on what I was going through. And I thought in my mind that everybody was already up on game. So I was just sharing my story, right? Come to find out, everybody's not up on game. People were saying like, yo, we never heard it spoken in that way. Not that you were unfamiliar with the concepts, but you never heard it spoken in that fashion. I'm like, okay, well, I guess everybody isn't doing rituals, right? That wasn't a popular thing at that time. What's up? What's going on? I see everybody. Shout out everybody that's watching. But again, let me speed this up. Again, I don't want to ramble. Let's just get straight to the point. How did I know it was for me? Because after I did that ritual, shit started to happen. And when shit started to happen, then I knew it takes a certain type of person to even do this shit. For me, it was natural. Because I felt like I was being led in this direction already. Again, people were already putting the stigma on me before I even understood what was being said. That stigma was already in me. I just didn't see it within myself. But other people saw it, those who were in tune. So like, oh, this dude is kind of weird, right? But it's in your blood. That's the difference. It's in you. So when you actually start to manifest it, when you start to accept it, it starts to change your whole reality. And again, I'm speaking from personal experience. It gotta be in you. And again, I'm gonna hit this corner so y'all don't have to hear all this traffic. But I don't want to really stand. I don't want to stand still for too long. Again, I want to make this video because I gotta, it's a whole lot of shit going on. But that's beyond the point. So, what do I mean by it got to be in you? It got to be in you in the sense of it's a mentality. It's a mentality. For example, somebody else's perspective of right and wrong doesn't resonate with me. For example, street life and all the activities in the street life, I don't have a problem with it at all because I know better. What do I mean? There's been many times, again, as I've shown y'all, I don't have to say it, it's already documented, right? It's been many times where I felt like I was gonna die. It's the feeling of death. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with this feeling, but you feel death in the air before somebody dies, if you know. And I felt that so many times. It's happened so many times. I'm like, yo, I feel like I'm gonna die. I would even tell this to my mother. I'm like, I kind of feel like I'm gonna die soon. And she would be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Fuck that shit, you know what I mean? My mom cusses and, you know what I mean, she's raw. So she wasn't having like, fuck out of here. However, it was a real feel. I'm like, yo, I feel like I'm gonna die. I'm like, what the fuck is this? However, I'm like, fuck it. I'm not gonna be scared. If it's my time, it's my time. Fuck it. What's up, Marvin and Magi? I conquered my fear of death. And once I conquered my fear of death, I became one with death. And I had a whole different perspective of what death means. Let me turn this full circle. The reason I call myself the Lord of the Underworld is because that title was given to me by something beyond me. I'll tell you the story for those who may not know. Again, I want to give as much personal experience as I can for those who may. Again, we're going to put the books down for a minute. We're going to put the astrology down for a minute. We're just going to talk about personal experience, because everybody has personal experience, right? So my personal experience is just one day. It was a regular day. I was already into information, Gnosticism, manifestation, shit like that. Light work. I was already into that light work. But when I started getting to that heavy work, I'll tell you the transition. The transition was one day I'm just in the house doing whatever I'm doing, and a voice spoke through me. Not me hearing a voice in my head, a voice like opened my mouth and made me talk. And it said Asar. Asar. It was like a whisper, like people say the devil whisper and all. They were like, Asar. It was like Asar. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Asar? What? I typed that shit in Google. It's the Egyptian god of the dead. So for me, I'm like, what the fuck is this? I heard this and it made my mouth move, and I spoke, and I look it up on Google and it actually means something. Not no random shit that, you just hear stuff like you have a dream, you don't know what it means and all this stuff. This shit actually led to something. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Because the only thing I knew about Egypt, again, is based off Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards and all that stuff. I didn't know nothing about the spirituality aspect of it. So when this voice spoke through me, I'm like, Asar, Lord of the Underworld. What is that? Why did I hear? What is this voice speaking? What is this spirit speaking through me? What the fuck is this? Once that happened, everything changed. I'm like, okay, let me go with this. However, this is a twister, because at the time I was amongst Muslims, right? Little did I know, they don't fuck with that Egyptian shit. They call it Pharaoh, or you could say of the devil, right? I didn't know that. So I'm going around calling myself Lord Asar again. I was rapping and all this. That was my rap name and all that, because I'm like, this is a voice that spoke through me. This must be an attribute. So I took upon the name. Little did I know, Muslims don't fuck with that. So it caused rift within the household I was in, and eventually I had to leave. And that's when I became homeless my first time. This is like back in 2011. Fucking back in the day, back in the old days before the 2012 shift type shit. Okay, so I'm like, I didn't know they didn't fuck with that energy. So I had to find out the hard way. Like, so they were like, we really don't fuck with this energy to the point where we can't be amongst you anymore. You can't be amongst us. So you have to leave. So I had to make a choice. Either follow my heart or follow my religion. I chose to follow my heart, and I went into the streets, not knowing what will happen. But I'm like, this shit is a little bit too real for me to turn my back on it, regardless of whatever religion I'm claiming. That's just my religion. But this shit that experience was realer than any experience I ever had religiously. So once I went out into the streets, and I started to see, because before that, I was like everybody else, is going to work, coming home, paying bills, messing around with the little hotties, the thotties, and, modern day lingo, the little thotties, you know, just doing what dudes do when you and you're young, you a little youngin', just doing normal shit. You exploring yourself, trying to find yourself. But once that happened, my whole perspective of reality changed. Because it was at that point, I was on my own. Like, I don't have a crew of motherfuckers no more. Because I was, of course, you have a crew, you have a basis, you have a foundation. All that was ripped away because of something that spoke through me. Now, somebody may say, oh, that was a spirit or a demon that spoke through you. Who the fuck cares? Because something speaks through me, I look it up, it actually means something and it resonates with me, I gotta go with it. As they say, you have to listen to your intuition. To me, it was my intuition. It was just a phase that I had to go through. So once I went out into the streets and I started to see the things that I didn't see before, because as I said, I was just going to work, coming home. I wasn't exploring the city. I wasn't doing all the shit you see me doing on YouTube. That was not my life at all. Because I just didn't have time. Or in my mind, I didn't have time. But now that I'm in the streets all fucking day. So if I'm not at work, I'm in the streets. So now I'm seeing shit that I normally wouldn't see when, you know, being out in the streets at 3 a.m., what do you think is going on? Especially if we're talking about LA, gangland, right? Of course, I started to learn the dynamics of the streets. I'll give you an example of a mysterious occurrence. One day I'm walking down the street. Just walking down the street, you know, of course, I don't have nothing else to do. I'm not about to sleep on the sidewalk. That's what kept me motivated, for those who want to know. What kept me motivated was I saw everybody else sleeping on the streets. You know, LA has like the biggest population of homeless people. I'm not sure if it's still those numbers now, but back then, that's what it was. So you can walk down any given street and see motherfuckers on the concrete, laid the fuck out. And I told myself, I can never lay on this concrete. Fuck that. Fuck this concrete. Motherfuckers land on that concrete face down type shit. I'm like, I can't do it. So I would stay up. I had to gather energy and stay up. I'm like, if I'm going to sleep, I gotta sleep in motion. Like I'm gonna get on the bus or something, ride the whole line. The whole line is like an hour and a half, whatever. I get a little nap, then I'm right back up. So I really wasn't sleeping. So it was no more sleep, it was just naps. Man, get an hour here, hour there. You know what I mean? Then I gotta go to work. Or I gotta go here, I gotta go there, I gotta switch and transfer. So I'm always up, sleeping no more than an hour for months at a time. This is for months. So, strange occurrence. One of these random days, I'm just walking down the street. A dude is in his car. I'm walking this way, so I'm walking south. Or no, I'm walking north. He's in his car driving west. So he stops at the light. So it's a car behind him. And he yells out, "Go the fuck around." Now, I didn't know if he was talking to me or anybody else. So I'm like, what the fuck? He like, "Go the fuck around." So the car behind him skirts off and go around him. I'm like, okay. So he stands there in his car. He looks over at me. He gets the fuck out of his car. Car is still running. I'm like, I guess I got to go to war. You know, this is my mentality. I guess I have to fight or something. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is about it. He gets out of his fucking car, walks over to me, and he shakes my fucking hand. I'm like, what? And he says, he like, "Are you in school?" Because I had my book bag on. He like, "You in school?" I'm like, "Yep." Because at the time I was, you know what I mean? Was it the University of the Hard Knocks? Yeah, I'm definitely in school, right? Then he says, "You know, people want to kill you. Like, you the type of motherfucker that people want to kill. And I'm like, what type of shit is that to say to somebody you don't even know? Right? Like, what type of shit is that to say? Like, yo, you the type of motherfuckers want to kill. I'm like, what the fuck? He gets in this fucking car and drives the fuck off. I'm like, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? But as I processed it over time, I understood exactly what he was saying. What he was saying was, when you the type of motherfucker who know who you are, because as they say, game recognize game, right? If you have some knowledge about yourself, it's going to show. You don't have to say shit. You don't have to look like nothing. You don't have to wear no expensive clothes. You don't have to, all this shit that motherfuckers is doing to be seen, you don't got to do none of that. Because I didn't have none of that shit. You know what I mean? Regular motherfucker walking down the street at 3 a.m. Everybody else is asleep. Everybody else got to go to work in the morning, including my ass at the time, but I'm not going to sleep. You know what I mean? I'm going, you know what I mean? I'm only sleeping, again, an hour or whatever. So I'm just not getting no fucking sleep. So shit like that. Also, I wanted to see with my own eyes what's really going on in the streets. For real, for real. I don't want to take nobody's word for it. So, of course, this led me to several hoe strolls, prostitution, pimping and hoeing. I'm like, how does this shit work with all these fucking cops around? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I decide to take my ass to the hoe stroll. Why the shit was popping? Because I want to see. Because I don't have shit else to do. I might as well learn something, right? From a street level. Because this is what everybody is, they feel some type of way about it, right? These motherfuckers should go to jail. They manipulating women. They doing this. But you hear all these stories. Who's really telling you from their direct experience? Because I didn't have direct experience. And again, I don't want to sidetrack too far. I'm just giving you personal examples. Anyway, so I take my ass to the hoe stroll. How does this shit work? Are these men really beating these women's ass and forcing them to do this or whatever? What's really going on here? So I stand on a hoe stroll and I observe what's really going on here. Come to find out, I saw some real spooky ass shit. And again, I wasn't even comfortable really talking about this shit till now because I'm in a different state of mind. But we'll continue on. So I'm at the hoe stroll, right? So I'm looking at the prostitutes. I'm looking them in their eyes too. I'm like, I don't see any bruises. I don't see any black eyes. They actually look very beautiful, actually. Okay. I don't see any force. I don't see any men. I don't see any men around the corner with guns and, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see any force at all. But what I did see was, I'm thinking like this, maybe, you know how just some stuff that shouldn't be said, but I'm gonna say it anyway because, I don't want nobody to have to see this with their own eyes if you're not already in tune. For the youngest out there, for those who don't have a strong enough stomach, I'll let you know what I see. Okay. So I'm looking at these prostitutes, right? In their eyes. Some of them speaking. Some of them, I walk past, some of them speak, some of them don't, whatever. But then it was this one particular prostitute. she was clearly a fucking deity. Clearly, or I would say an avatar of a deity. What do I mean by that? Because when I looked in this woman's eyes, when I looked in this woman's eyes, because basically she had a whole costume on. She looked like Catwoman. She looked like Catwoman, and she was like, it's like she was role playing. It's hard to explain this shit. Cause I've never, you know, this is the type of shit that fuck up your mind and make you look at shit differently. She had the whole costume on. I'm looking at her eyes, like it's like you're looking at a demon, or you're not looking at a human. You're looking at something beyond. You're not looking, you look in my eyes. I don't know what the fuck you see when you look in my eyes, but you're looking at something deeper. I'm looking in her eyes. I'm like, I don't. This is not a fucking human. Like, this is some other shit. I'm looking in her eyes. I'm like, oh. When I got a sense of her energy, because I'm sensitive to all this stuff. I'm like, this motherfucker is what I've learned to call it. It's like it's being possessed by the snake spirit. For those who don't know, being possessed by the snake spirit. She was possessed by the snake spirit. When women become prostitutes, what's really going on is, let me just give you the whole fucking story, huh? For those who's curious about these activities, because you don't see it, or if you see it, you don't understand it, because you're not right there. What happens is, once a woman gets out into the streets, the damage has already been done. Because, for example, again, everybody's looking at the pimp as the bad guy. But once a woman already hits the streets, the damage has already been done. Meaning it's been a lot of shit that led up to her even being out in the streets so that the pimp can even be in her presence. In other words, she done already had a fucked up childhood, a fucked up life, which led her to the streets before the pimp even comes into the picture. Shit has already went down in the family. She probably already been raped, molested, foster care, you know what I mean? Bad, alcohol, drugs in the family, yada, yada, yada. The damage has already been done. So once she placed her feet on them streets, she's already in tune. Because her Kundalini has already been activated at a young age. Again, you got some motherfuckers who's been, who's been violated since kids. And again, that it just is what it is. Again, I have a piece of tissue in my nose on purpose. It's not a booger. I said in the first video, so don't worry about that. You worried about the wrong stuff. I'm trying to make a point here, don't worry. This is a piece of tissue. I'm purposely blocking my left nostril so my right nostril can breathe more for a specific reason. If you don't know what that reason is, do some research. But, you know what I mean? That has nothing to do with the video, though. I'm just, people like, oh yeah, so look up. All right, you want a close look, there it is. This is on purpose for a specific reason, spiritually. Let's get back to the story. So the damage has already been done. So once they hit the streets, damage is already done. They already pretty much in the mode. And all the pimp is doing is keeping it organized. The pimp is just making sure if he's a good pimp. Not all pimps, because some pimps are gorilla pimps. A gorilla pimp is using his fist, a good pimp uses his mind. All right. So when I looked at this woman and I sensed the energy of a serpent, she had the energy of a serpent, because I'm looking at her eyes and she's like waving like a snake, and I'm like, you would think, you know how people play the instrument and it charm like a snake charmer. They play the instrument and it charms the snake, and the snake started doing all this shit. They can charm the snake. That's exactly what it was. It's as if you're looking at a snake charmer and she's dancing to this. I'm giving out too much info. Let's move on. These motherfuckers ain't even ready for that. Anyway, moving right along. I'm just giving y'all like, yo, I've seen this shit. I've been up and close fucking doing all this. Anyway, how do you know if the occult is for you? The rites of passage. You know it's for you when you can see shit like that and you don't run home. You can see the ill shit. I'll give you another example. We're talking about prostitutes. Let's talk about drug addicts. We talk about drug addicts. It's also, in the streets of LA, you have something known as Skid Row. For those who know about that, my West Coast people, you have something called Skid Row, which is infested with drug addicts. I had no idea about Skid Row till after the fact. I ended again doing my travels in the streets. I ended up at Skid Row, not knowing where the fuck I was at. And it was literally a whole block of homeless people. The whole sidewalk for an entire block of drug addicts partying, having fun. It's 3 in the morning. I'm just walking past. I don't know where the fuck I'm at. You know what I mean? I gotta stay up. So I'm just walking, because if I sit down, I'm gonna fall asleep. So I'm just walking this whole fucking block of drug addicts partying. 3 in the morning. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I'm walking past. I'm walking in the street. They on the sidewalk, so I'm walking in the street. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? The shit that you don't hear about on the news, right? The shit that nobody really wants to talk about. But that goes on, and I'm sure every fucking city in America and worldwide. So I'm like, what is this? And of course, I wanted to have a conversation with somebody to get some type of intel. What the fuck is going on here? So I'm walking through, and somebody is across the street walking around with a big ass speaker with wheels on it. They walking with a big ass speaker with wheels on it, blasting some Machiavelli, Hail Mary, for those who know that classic song. And I just sense, once again, you just sense death. It's like death is in the air. You just sense it. It's like anybody can die at any moment when you feel this in the air. Again, I'm not sure how familiar people are with that, but it's like you just know that something is about to, like, it's like the atmosphere is so chaotic. It's like being on the block with a bunch of gang members. It's like the block is chaotic. Anything can go down at any time, right? So like you just feel this essence of death. I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? So turns out that again, I'm thinking before I'm speaking, because I know there's certain things I guess shouldn't be said. So I'm giving y'all the light work. But when I get a sense of what's really going on, I start asking around, like, what the fuck is this? Because I could, you know what I mean? I wanted to record and all that. I think I had like a camera or whatever. But you just get a sense of don't keep that shit in your bag. Don't pull out no fucking cameras. Don't look suspicious. Just, you know what I mean? Just act like you're doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? So, getting back to the story. What I realized is, as I said earlier, when you become one with death, this type of chaotic shit that goes on in the streets of every city, it's like you are able to tap into this energy and manipulate it. What do I mean? Because if you are brave enough to be amongst this chaos, if you are brave enough, you got enough heart, you got enough balls to be amongst this chaos and it doesn't scare you off, people feel that. As they say, when you in the streets, it's like you are amongst savages. They can sense fear. So when they don't sense fear from you, as I said, game recognized game. You were able to navigate amongst the chaos because you are in tune with the chaos. You yourself are the chaos. So what do I mean? Rites of passage, when you are able to be amongst the chaos and it doesn't scare you off and people embrace you, the streets embrace you. When you are embraced by the streets, it's because it's in your heart. Whether it's gang banging, prostitution, pimping, running numbers, gambling, all the street activity, killing, murder, all street activity. To be amongst this chaos, this what we consider savage behavior, to be amongst this and to not run home with your tail between your legs, as a metaphor, you can tap into this raw energy and manipulate it. What do I mean? I was constantly being asked. I guess people fucking think I'm a drug dealer. So I'm constantly, as I'm in the streets, I'm constantly being asked, you got some coke? It wasn't even really weed per se, but sometimes it was. People asked me for cigarettes, weed, coke, so on and so forth. I'm like, I guess I look like I got the shit. Even though but it's just it's what's in you. When it's in you, again, game recognized game. So people want to give you shit. I guess I may be going a little bit too deep. Okay. Let's just say you are a drug dealer. You sell crack. You have customers. They come to you every day, give you money in exchange for the product. That relationship is much deeper than just a customer buying something from a seller. What do I mean? You can utilize these people that we consider customers for whatever job that you want to utilize them for. What do I mean? For example, you can get these people to do whatever you want them to do because you have built a loyalty amongst them. And most people just consider drug addicts, they're out of their mind, but they're really more sane than sane people. And that's what I realized. I'm like, when I'm looking around, I'm like, nobody's fucking crazy here. I'm able to have a full conversation with these motherfuckers. Like, I've seen motherfuckers inject themselves with shit right in front of me, having a full conversation with me. Yep. Still going. Like, what the fuck? These motherfuckers didn't sniff and they just started zombieing out. No, these motherfuckers shoot this shit like a motherfucker, light up a blunt, and they still going. These motherfuckers ain't zombied out, mouth foaming, and what we would think a drug addict is. I'm like, yo, these motherfuckers is sane as a mother. They more sane than me. Cause they put me up on game. Cause let's just say, and I spoke about this before, again, people will be coming up to me, you got this, or they not asking for drugs, they ask for money. So I would give them money in exchange for information. Hey man, you got $1? Yeah, I got this $1. Hey, what's going on around here? How do I get this? How do I get this? How do I get this? Because it's a loyalty. Because when they look at me, they know this motherfucker don't belong around here. They wouldn't be asking me for shit. It's 3 in the morning. Why the fuck would you even be around here if you don't belong here? Anyway. Like, yo, what's going on? What's going on? So every time, I just had a big stack of ones. I bought a pack of cigarettes. I had some weed. So whenever a motherfucker would ask me for something, I would give it to him in exchange for information. So I started gathering information, collecting data. What the fuck is going on? So the fact that I can collect data from so-called drug addicts and they doing the drugs right in front of me. They showing me how to do it, like, yo, this is how you do it in 1-1. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? They just volunteer information, like, yo, okay, you know, they comfortable around me because the loyalty has been built up. Again, this may be a little bit too much, but I'm just giving y'all a perspective. Because all this is going on now. Not for 1 second do I feel like there's something wrong here at all. Again, I'm seeing prostitutes getting in and out of cars. I'm seeing police allowing this shit to happen. So it ain't that these motherfuckers are just so clever that the police don't see them. The police is getting paid off. We know this, right? So the police is driving up and down, seeing these hoes do what they do, hop in and out of cars, letting this shit happen because they getting money off of this shit and they getting free pussy. You know, we know what the deal is, right? So they allow it. They allow the drugs to be sold. They allow the prostitutes to get their money because they know they're gonna get their cut and they know they're gonna get some pussy. So in their minds, as we consider crooked cops, they're actually not necessarily the enemy because they allow the shit to happen because you have to pay dues. Everybody says this, right? You got to pay the cost to be the boss, right? That means there's a whole ecosystem that allows this shit to happen. For example, let's just say you win a game. You have to pay off the cops. You also have to pay off the gang members so that they don't come fucking your shit up. So you sharing your profits with many people, with many characters. The crooked cops, the gang bangers, like, all right, we're gonna let you do you. You give us a cut, we're gonna let you do you. The cops, you give us a cut, we're gonna let you do you. You know what I mean? Get your money. So as somebody who's like, yo, the cops should shut this shit down because you think in your mind, okay, cops are supposed to be protecting and serving and all this shit. Come to realize they're really for you. Oh man, I don't think y'all understand. What am I talking about? They allow you to come up in the streets. Just give them a little cut out. I just want a little piece off the top. Do you? So in my mind, I'm seeing all this and experiencing this, and I'm like, this is the real deal. This is real life. Real life ain't justice and fucking freedom and protection and all this shit that everybody hears, right? Real life is get your money. And we're going to allow you to get your money as long as you give us a little something. You can make a deal, again, with, game beggars, so people ain't going to be harassing your women and all that, or, trying to rob you and all that, or police putting you in handcuffs. Nah, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do because game recognized game. Okay, oh, you hustling around here? Okay, give us a little cut. We'll let you do you. This is common knowledge for those who know. This is common knowledge already, right? But everybody don't know. Everybody is still popping those blue pills. But that's why I wore the red shirt. This is straight red pill information. So again, not once was going through my mind like, yo, this shit should not be happening. It just brought me to reality. Reality is very harsh. And as they say, truth is stranger than fiction. The truth is, it's all, again, you can say it's all about the money, but it really ain't even about the money. It's about you knowing who you are. You have to be wise to even survive in this atmosphere. You can't be an idiot and survive here because you're going to get yourself killed, or you're going to get yourself in a position where you don't want to be up. You don't want to be in. Like, oh, fuck the cops, I ain't paying them shit. All right, we'll see how long you last. Because they know who the fuck you are. You think you're going to stand on the corner and sell drugs, or you're going to have a bunch of women walking up in this block and they don't know who the fuck you are? You just on your ninja shit? I don't think so. These things are allowed to happen. And the reason they are allowed to happen because when you are the Lord of the underworld, when you are the select few, when you have been granted the right to be amongst those who we consider insane, and they show you the reality, is like I was brought in, like they took me amongst them like I'm like the little homie. I'm like, I didn't ask for any of this shit. As I said, let me go back. I'm just following my intuition. I'm just following my heart. Now I'm getting embraced by the streets and all these so-called insane motherfuckers, right? Who turns out to be perfectly sane. It's like, what the fuck? So, with that being an introduction, how do you know? That made me realize this isn't just a coincidence. I'm not here because I'm not supposed to be here. I'm here because I'm supposed to be here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here because there's no one else here. There's no one else here. It's not just a bunch of random motherfuckers walking up and down the block. The block is empty besides prostitutes, drug addicts, hustlers, gang bangers, all street people. These are the only people around. Again, if you don't know nothing about the cities, people are afraid to come outside at night. I seen it. I know it. Once sunset hits, people are afraid to come outside at night, especially in, you know, a dangerous part of the city, right? They don't want no parts of it. So you're not gonna be around if you're not supposed to be there. And people are not gonna feel comfortable doing shit if they don't know who you are, right? If your face is not recognized, like, who the fuck is this? But when they embrace you, I'll give you another example. Cause I got, you know, I can talk forever. Again, this is, I'll give you another example, right? It's true shit. You know, I have to be careful with my words. Anyway, one day, I don't even have to tell the full story again. I've been talking for an hour already. But I'll just say this. One day, I get on a train. I get on the last train. You know what I mean? It's a regular day to me, in my mind. It's a regular fucking day. And I finish it off this, and we'll close it out. So make sure the battery is good. Okay, we good. It's 2:15. So I'll close it out after this story. Regular day, I get on a train. I get on the last train. I literally have to run to the train before the doors close. I get on the fucking train, right? The train is full of gang members, bloods in particular. So the first thought that goes to my mind, like, I got on the wrong fucking train. Shouldn't have got on the last train. But then I had to man up, as they say, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm going to stand. I guess if you know a train, how a train is structured, you have the doors on the sides that people enter in, but then you have the doors that's facing the other way. I don't even know if I'm explaining this right, where you can go in between the trains. So you have a door that you can go in between the trains, you got the door that people go on. So I stand with a door where you can go in between trains so that I can see. So like when I'm looking down, I can see everybody on the train because I'm standing right there. I can see everybody on the train. So I'm like, I'm not going to break my concentration. Because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. I don't know what's going on. But fuck it. I'm already in fuck it mode at this point. So I see a lot of these, you know, everybody, you know, getting on, getting in, getting off, getting on, getting in, whatever, whatever. You know what I mean? Obviously, everybody is looking at me, but I'm not looking back at them. It's like I'm staring straight ahead, but I'm not necessarily looking at anybody. But obviously, motherfuckers is looking at me. Like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, who the fuck are y'all? Anyway, so I hop on the train because I'm going to Hollywood. You know, this is my daily routine, right? I'm just going to Hollywood, check out the scenery, see what's going on, yada, yada, yada. I get to Hollywood. It's full of Bloods. So my first thought is, have the Bloods took over Hollywood? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It just didn't make no fucking sense to me. However, come to find out, let me actually take a seat right here. So I can gather my thoughts. Come to find out, once I got to Hollywood, they were everywhere, right? It's like on every block there's Bloods all over the place. So of course, you know, you got, you know, Hollywood and Highland, for those who know they streets. You know, you have like street performers and all that. You got all this stuff going on. So it's all this entertainment going on, that you got all these gang members, right? So I'm amongst them. Like, as if I'm one of them. And I was embraced by them. For example, they coming up to me, yo, what up, Blood? What up, what up? You know what I mean? They passing me the blunt and all this shit. Passing me the blunt, motherfuckers, and passing me treats and shit, like giving me shit. As if I'm one of them. It felt like a rites of passage. I'm like, I don't know none of these motherfuckers. But they coming up to me, embracing me, having conversations with me. Because game recognized game. This is what this truly means. Game recognized game. I may not necessarily have been a part of a particular set, but you can just feel in a person's essence. You know, it's just in your heart, as I said. When it's in your heart, it's in your heart. You can't take it out of your heart. It's just in your heart. So I was embraced fully. Like I said, motherfuckers don't know who I am. I don't know who they are, but they embrace me, sharing and all that. You know what I mean? So at the end of all that, somebody comes up to me. It was an elder. An elder came up to me and he started spitting. Not like actually spitting, but spitting like speaking. He starts, okay, I'll illustrate the story a little bit better. He came up like a drunk person. Like he had just drunk a whole something and he's just staggering everywhere. So everybody's looking at him like he's drunk. Like, oh, this motherfucker is drunk. You know, he's just like, oh, they like, yeah, I'm about to fuck some pussy tonight. I'm like, I'm gonna pay for some pussy. I done worked hard all my life. I'm 40 years old. I done worked hard, paid all my bills off. I'm about to have some fun. I'm looking for a freaky bitch, and she got to do whatever I want her to do. You know what I mean? I'm gonna pay her money. I don't need her telling me shit. I'm gonna like take this money, and you gotta let me do whatever I'm doing. He's speaking like that. So everybody's laughing. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you know, do your thing, elder. You know what I mean? You earned it. Then all of a sudden, it's like he sobered up instantly. I'm like, this was an avatar. He sobered up instantly and started speaking real shit. For example, he started saying shit like, how can we all be so close, yet so far apart? He was like, if I was down south and I just moved into a neighborhood, he was like, I would have so much food that I couldn't even carry it because all the neighbors is like, yo, you the new neighbor here. They would give you a plate of food, as they call Southern hospitality. Everybody on the block will welcome you and like give you a plate of food and like so that you know everybody. Like everybody's introducing themselves and giving you gifts. So like, yo, how can we be so close together yet so far apart? And he was like, yo, just imagine if we was to shut down the freeway to the point where nobody can get to work, and we made a list of demands, they would give us whatever we wanted because people can't get to work, and they would be losing millions of dollars because people can't get to work. Like motherfuckers is blocking off the freeway. You can't pass. Motherfuckers can't get to work. And I started thinking, I'm like, he's on to something. I thought this nigga was drunk. This is just how the spirit works for those who don't know. He started speaking some shit like that. And the last thing he said was, he said a lot of stuff. But the last thing he said to me was, if somebody said that they just saw Jesus in a back alley and they shook his hand, would you believe him? And I'm like, yeah, most likely not. All right? Most likely, if somebody said, oh, I just met Jesus, I shook his hand. Most likely, like, yeah, whatever, motherfucker. Then he said, what if they was actually telling the truth? What if they really fucking shook his hand for real, for real? And I thought about it. I'm like, that's interesting. So I turned my head away from the dude just for a split second. Then I turned back. This motherfucker is gone. Just disappeared at thin air. He's gone. I turned my head like 5-7 seconds, just thinking like, I turned back. He's gone. Like, just disappeared at thin air. I'm like, what the fuck? Where'd he go? Never seen him again. The next day, I went back to Hollywood. I had on a red bracelet because I had bought, it was a somebody was selling bracelets. I bought a red bracelet, so I put it on that day. Went back to Hollywood. When I went back to Hollywood, I'm walking down the street, and that the red bracelet, y'all probably seen it. I have it on sometime, whatever. This red bracelet started burning my wrist. It started to burn, like my wrist was on fire. It started to burn my wrist. I'm like, why the fuck is my wrist burning? Like literally my wrist is on fire, but I'm not on fire. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This shit is burning the fuck out of my wrist. Not like, it's literally not hot. It's spiritual. Like the whatever it was is just fine. It just started burning my wrist. So I turned to my left, and I saw the Game. For those who know the rapper The Game, or Game, he pulls up in he was in a red Porsche. He pulls up. He stops at a stoplight. He has his window down. So of course, those who know who he is, they pull out their phone, taking pictures and doing little, like, oh yeah, I'm with the Game and all that, with their phone out and all this stuff. So I pull out my phone, and I was gonna take a picture as well. I'm like, oh, it's a nice car. But then I thought, I'm like, I could actually go up to him and shake his hand and get a real life personal experience with him, or I can just take a picture like everybody else. I chose to go up to him. So as he's at the red light, I walk up to him, put my fucking arm in his car, extend my hand, Don't say nothing to him. I'm just looking him in his eyes. I extend my hand. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm this, I do this. I didn't say none of that. Oh yeah, I'm this, can you do this? Fuck all that weak shit. I put my hand in his car. I extend my hand. You know what I mean? And he embraced me. And he said, one love. I shook my head. I stepped back. I'm like, that's all I need. I don't need no clout off this shit. I don't need to tell nobody this shit. I don't need to do nothing. Now, he pulls off. So I'm like, oh, I guess I just met the game. But what made that spiritual, besides my wrist being on fire, is that when I was in New York, and those who have me on Facebook, you can go back on my, you know how you can put a cover photo? Your cover photos. At the time, my cover photo, at the time, was a cover of his album, one of his albums. I don't remember what the album was called, but it's the album of like the Jesus. He had black Jesus with a red bandana around his mouth. I don't remember what the name of that album, but I had that as my cover photo on my Facebook page. It's not on there, but you can go through the cover photos. You can look at it. I had that as my Facebook cover photo. So I'm like, out of all people, out of all fucking people, I would run into this motherfucker. Out of all people, the exact person I had his album cover as a cover photo for my Facebook, and motherfuckers was just talking about, yeah, if you just met Jesus and you shook his hand just the previous day, would people believe you? I'm like, fuck. That shit just happened. Because if you know anything about the game, he calls himself Black Jesus. Because that's the energy of LA. LA is all about Black Jesus. It just is what it is. Just think about Tupac. Tupac was speaking about Black Jesus, etc., right? So that's just the energy. So that's how they feel out there. That's the energy out there. So I'm like, wait a minute. Just last night, this motherfucker was talking about if you shook Jesus' hand. And I literally just had that experience. So, I'm like, there's no words for that. There's no words. I'm like, this shit is too well put together for this to be a coincidence. It's too well put together for it to be a coincidence. I'm like, yo, I just went to Hollywood. I'm seeing all these bloods. They embracing me like I'm one of them. Then I meet the game. He embraces me as well. Say one love. Just the spirit just came up to me and said, shaking Jesus' hand, nobody would believe you. I like, motherfuckers probably would believe. Oh yeah, I shook the game's hand. No, you didn't, motherfucker. Oh, the game was in Hollywood. I shook his hand. No, you didn't, motherfucker. Oh, he just let you stick your hand in his car and like, nah, he ain't do that. Motherfuckers probably wouldn't believe me. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? It was at that moment that I realized that there's some shit going on way deeper than I can ever put into words. Why in the fuck was my wrist burning? Because if my wrist was not burned, I wouldn't have never even turned to look that way. I would have just kept walking, and I would have walked past. He would have been at the red light. I would have went across the street. I wouldn't have even had that moment. But my wrist was burning so bad that I had to stop and turn. I'm like, oh shit. That's why I didn't cross the street. Again, I'm about to cross the street. So he would have been at the light. I would have kept going and just going about my business. Would have never even had that moment. So the fact that it's like I was forced. Something was like, yo, stay right there. Again, who the fuck knows why it happened? But it did happen. So I'm saying this to say, when it's a rites of passage, to me, I felt like that was a rites of passage. Like, yo, you were, again, it ain't about being a gang member, it's just about being real. That's what it's about, being real. When you know who you are and you have heart and you're not afraid to be amongst those who are considered insane, because truth be told, whether you want to consider somebody a gang member, you consider somebody a drug addict, you consider somebody, again, pimp, prostitute, murderer, killer, anything street, what's really going on is they are just Gnostics. The modern day Gnostics. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a book called The Gnostic. I don't remember the author title. I think the author is about Jacques something. There's a book called The Gnostic by Jacques something. That should be enough for you to find a book. He speaks about the Gnostics. The Gnostics back in the day were those who were interested in things like astrology, tarot readings, basically all the shit that we're into now. Back in the day, their whole lifestyle was based around that. Again, I can go into various details about that, but I'm just giving y'all references just in case you want to do your own research. So the modern day Gnostics of today's times, the rebels of this time, are the streets, people that navigate these streets, people that live in the streets, people that pretty much hustle in the streets, people that made the streets their home and their territory and their base, right? What's up, Dragon OG? So, the modern day Gnostics is those who are into the streets. They're considered insane by those who are not in the streets, but they're very much sane. And I know this for a fact because, again, I embraced them, I didn't judge. See, this is the thing. You have people who's ego tripping, who feel like they're better. They look at crackheads and homeless people and they like, ugh, get the fuck away from me, right? They look at them as savages and animals. So they never get it. But because I didn't do that, because I was right there with them. Because as I said, I got put out into the streets. So I'm right there with them. Oh, you don't got no place to go? Neither do I. You don't have nothing to eat? Neither do I. So I was embraced because I came humbly. I was humble. I wasn't thinking about I'm above, because I actually wasn't. Like I was, I'm out here with y'all too. And because of that, and they felt that, again, they can feel that. They felt the humbleness, like, yo, I'm just here to see what's going on. I'm trying to figure this shit out like you trying to figure this shit out. They embraced me because I was humble enough to come amongst them and not judge them. Real recognize real, game recognize game. And because of that reason, I was embraced. And I was shown, as I was talking to y'all before, I was shown certain things and allowed to see certain things and allowed to have certain experiences because I came humbly. Again, motherfuckers is so comfortable with me. Again, I'm seeing motherfuckers shooting up shit right in front of me, still having a full conversation, but I didn't judge. I'm not looking at like, oh, this motherfucker is, oh, okay, Marvin the Magi, he just put the title. Okay, so the Gnostic by Jacques, what is this, Le Cavalier, however you say his last name, for those who want that, who want to read that book, there it is. You should be able to find it on the internet. So there we go. So y'all know that it's some real shit. I'm not making this shit up. So I'm giving y'all a book reference. So I'm still giving y'all some literature, some personal experience and some literature. Because as you know, we gonna ground the information. So because I was humble enough and I had my third eye open, I was humble enough and I had my third eye open, I was allowed to see certain things, and they were comfortable enough around me to show me who they really were as well, and just to test me and see if I was judged. Like, okay, let me shoot up this coke, let me snort up this coke, let me smoke this crack. Motherfuckers didn't smoke crack right in front of me. And seeing motherfuckers all this shit, right? But I was humble. I'm like, yo, I'm just here to know, because I'm right here with you. I'm just here like, yo, we in this shit together. You know what I mean? I'm not here to. So this is what I mean. When you don't judge, and when you embrace the Gnostic thinking and the Gnostic thoughts, because I was thinking on a Gnostic level as well. So because I was thinking on the Gnostic level, again, when I had the spiritual experience in the house and I got kicked out because of it, because I started to embrace that, again, it led me to this whole journey of the streets. And again, I have endless stories. I'm just giving you a few, just to put it into perspective, right? So it started with the books, then it turned into real life experience. So I'm just giving y'all some insight, because ain't nobody else gonna fucking give you the insight, right? Everybody else is gonna say stay away from the streets. And I don't totally disagree. If it's not for you, then stay away from it, because it's not for you. You may have to find that elsewhere. But I've seen it. Again, it's a whole nother thing when you hear things from other people, but when you speak to the actual person and you actually hear their story. I'll give you one last example. I know I said that was just the last one. I'll give you another one. And again, I spoke about these things in various videos, but of course, everybody doesn't watch every video, so here it is now. One day, I'm just downtown. I just came up on the lick. So I had a couple dollars in my pocket, right? I came up on the lick. I had a couple dollars. So a dude comes up to me, a homeless man, a drug addict, right? All these titles, right? This man, because there's still men and there's still women, right? This man comes up to me. He's like, yo, do you have a couple dollars? And I'm looking, I'm like, damn, he's asking for a couple dollars. He ain't just asking for a spirit change, you have a dollar. No, he's asking for a couple dollars. And I wouldn't have had that money had I not just hit a lick. So I'm like, hold on. So I'm like, maybe he knows, right? So I'm thinking, I'm like, maybe he knows. So I'm like, I wouldn't have shit for him. However, he like, yo, I'm not trying to, con you or nothing. Like, I'm honestly asking, do you have a couple dollars? And I'm like, I need to share the wealth, huh? So in my mind, I'm like, all right, I got to share the wealth. Fuck it, I gave him a couple dollars, right? I'm like, here, take it. You know what I mean? Here, let me spread the love. And because of that act, it was a test. Because once I gave him that couple dollars, he opened up. He taught me something. He started talking about solar pyramid homes. I'm like, what? This man, to everybody else, is homeless, a drug addict, can barely feed himself, don't even have clean clothes on his back. Everybody else looking at him as a savage, right? This so-called savage, started educating me about solar pyramid homes. I've never heard about that shit prior to that. I looked it up on Google. I'm like, this shit is real. He ain't even just making this shit up. I'm like, yo, this is some real shit. He told me his history. I used to be one of the big wigs, but I was robbed out of my position. I was conned out of my position. You know how the real inventors of things don't get the real credit. It's just the person that's on top gets the credit, but the people who's actually at the bottom, who's really doing the real work, don't get the credit. He's one of those people who, I was tricked out of my position, in other words. What's up, Mercedes? What's the deal? He was tricked out of his position, and I guess he turned to drugs, because I guess he couldn't cope, he couldn't keep up with his lifestyle, so he turned to the streets, he turned to drugs. And there he was. So he just so happened to come into my frequency. So he educated me. He gave me game. So I'm like, who would have fucking known that I'm learning about solar pyramid homes from somebody you would consider homeless, a drug addict, a lost soul? From that moment, I realized that, like, okay, what we consider addicts are really spirits. They're really spirits. They are vessels or avatars for the spirit. And they test you to see if you're worthy, if you're humble enough to help when you know you got it. You know you got it. That's why every time I'm in the streets, every single time I go to LA, every single time, New York, anywhere, every single time I travel, I make sure that I have money just to give away, because I know I'm going to be asked. It's paying your fucking dues, right? When you're not afraid and you're not egotistical, you humble yourself and you pay your dues, you help those who really need help, because ain't nobody else helping them. Everybody else is looking down. But when you still look at these people as men and women and you still respect them as such, they show you a side of themselves that they wouldn't show nobody else. I'll give you another example, and this will be the last one. This will be the last one. Because again, I done spent so much time in the streets, it's fucking crazy. It completely shifted my mind. Somebody said, "You make me cry." I guess this is a sad story. I don't know, but definitely keep a smile on. This definitely shouldn't be bringing tears, but I understand. I do understand, though. I do understand. Okay, last story. So, one day, I'm on a train. I'm sitting behind a woman and her husband. I'm in the seat behind a woman and her husband. So I'm sitting in the back. I'm not saying anything. I'm just sitting in the seat. I may have been hungry. I didn't have no money in my pocket. I didn't know where my next meal was coming from or nothing. Right? Didn't know anything. So a homeless guy gets on the train and starts asking people for money. Right? It's getting kind of windy now. I don't want to interrupt, but let me finish this story. A homeless dude gets on the train, asks everybody for money, go up and down the aisle, ask people for money. She gives him, the woman in front of me, who's sitting with her husband, she gives him 50 cents. Right? He gets off the train, but I notice that she keeps looking back at me, right? She keeps doing this. She's looking back at me. What the fuck is she looking at me for? I might look at your husband. Anyway, this is just how this thing is. Anyway, so she turns around. Eventually, she turns around and she's like, "Here, take this." She gives me like $5, and she's like, "Yo, get you something to eat." You know what I mean? She's like, "Yeah, get you something to eat." You know what I mean? Waved away and all that. She waved at me getting off the train, and I'm like, This homeless dude just got on the train asking for money. She gives him 50 cents. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just sitting behind her. I'm hungry, but I'm not saying anything. Because again, I'm holding my own. Like I was, I'm not going to put up a sign begging for anything. I'm like, man, fuck that. If I got to fucking find leftovers or something, if I got to be like a scavenger, just getting little bits and pieces from somewhere, I'm going to make sure I'm survive. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I ain't about to be all begging. I'm not doing all that. I'm going to make sure that I can continue forward. So I wasn't tripping about that. But she turns around and gives me $5. tells me, go get you something to eat. So instead of giving this homeless man, I guess I was homeless too at the time, whatever. But instead of the dude that's asking for money, she gives him 50 cents, she gives me $5. And I'm not asking for anything. The dude that's asking get 50 cents, I'm not asking. But I get $5. Don't know who this person was. And she's with her husband. I think he was just asleep because like it's as if he didn't see any of this. Like it's like I don't know. It was like he wasn't paying attention because he was tired or something. But he's just there. Like he's not interacting or nothing. He's just there. I don't know. So she gives me $5. So of course I use the $5. I give myself a nice meal. So I say that to say, when I look at shit like that, I'm like, why the fuck didn't she just give him the $5? Why you give me $5? Because real recognize real, and game recognize game. I didn't have to verbalize anything. I didn't have to. It was just known. And because I was humble enough to accept it. I was humble enough to, again, I'm not judging nobody. I'm not in a position to feel better than anybody else or bigger than anybody else. So I say that to say, when I went out into the streets, when I was forced into the streets, or when it was time for me to take my rites of passage to learn the ways of the streets, the streets took care of me. This is essentially, if I went out to wrap this all up, what I want to say is the streets took care of me. I was taken care of. It was so many days where I didn't have anything, didn't have no money in my pocket, I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. It was so many times where I will find that I'm finding full plates of food, just on benches. I'm finding full plates of food, like when you get Chinese food, a little white container. I'm finding full plates of food. I'm finding just stuff just laying around, just, you know what I mean? It's just stuff like, yo, somebody just left it here, like, just for me type shit. I'm just finding stuff, and I was able to survive. Like, the streets took care of me. So when nobody else, with no human could do anything for me, the spirit or the streets took care of me. That's how I got through it. I got through it just strictly off of the strength of the spirit. Could not explain this shit. Again, I didn't know these people. These people don't know me. But it's been so many times where just things happen mysteriously, or synchronicity, where I'm being taken care of to the point where I was able to adapt. I was like, this is a rites of passage. It was for me to develop my spirituality. Because again, so many people put their faith in their money or their bank account or their job or other people. People put faith in all this material shit. I was forced to put my faith in spirit. Because again, I didn't have none of those things. I didn't have anything else to put my faith in other than the spirit, other than myself. And I was taken care of because I kept a positive frame of mind. So I never was defeated, for example. Get up. I mean, I was never in the streets like, damn, I'm fucked up. I don't know where my next. I don't like basically, just thinking negatively. I never was thinking negatively like, damn, I don't know how I'm gonna make it. Even though I didn't know how I was gonna make it, I didn't allow myself to be sunken down to a place where I couldn't get out of. And again, this is also a time where, it's just too much to really explain. I'm just giving y'all I'm giving y'all little pieces. Just giving y'all little pieces to show that, yo, I'm the living proof. Like, yo, you don't need anything other than yourself. And to humble yourself to your circumstances and your environment, and to manipulate it, to manipulate matter, as we call today, law of attraction, manifestation, all that stuff. However, I say that to say, I came into the true understanding when I hit rock bottom. I had to hit rock bottom, right? I had to hit rock bottom. But when I hit rock bottom, it's as if I shot all the way up to the top, because I learned the art of how to survive, no matter what circumstance you may be faced against. And I learned how to prosper. This is how I started to cultivate who and what I am today, because I was fortunate enough to see these things all over the country. Again, it started in LA. I took it all the way to New York. Then I took it all the way down south. And again, I took it all around this bitch, right? Took it all over this shit, and y'all seen it, right? I said, hey, every time I travel, I don't necessarily have all my shit together. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm staying here, I'm doing this. I don't necessarily have the game plan already set in stone. Sometimes it's just day to day, because I didn't perfected this shit so well that type of stuff that normally fear. Like most people, again, they're not comfortable just being out in the streets all night, going to places that they're not familiar with, being around people they don't know, and how to correctly navigate in the streets. They don't know nothing about that. But because I was humble, again, I feel like it was a rites of passage. I didn't do it because I'm just such a badass. I was embraced by the spirit. The spirit embraced me and showed me the way. Like, yo, if you don't have nothing else, you always have the spirit. You can always manipulate the spirit. You can always use the spirit as a vessel to place yourself in a position where you will be okay. But again, a lot of people have not ever had to go through that, right? Because they always had something else to depend on, whether it was always a job, whether it was always a parent, always a family member. They didn't really have to hit, like, you don't have nobody and nothing at all. They really didn't have to go through it that hard. But those who have, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And again, even if you haven't, you don't have to go through it, because you can manipulate any circumstance. You don't have to hit rock bottom to come to this understanding. I had to. So I'm sharing my story. I had to hit rock bottom before I got my mind right. I didn't get my mind right till I hit rock bottom. So I'm letting you know, you don't have to hit rock bottom, because I'm sharing the secrets with you already. So if you a person who never had to go through none of that, you don't have to, because I went through it for you. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm sharing. That's my message. So for those, you don't have to ever go through none of that, because I done showed you, like, yo, this is how this shit is done. Regardless of whatever degree of life you're in, whatever circumstance you face with, the spirit is always active. No matter on what part of the country you're in, what part of the planet you're on, game, recognize game, real, recognize real. And that's everywhere. That is a universal law, if you didn't know. So it's like a universal law. But it's not nice. You know what I mean? It's not this fairy tale that people paint it out to be. It's not this fairy tale. It's very harsh. It's very gutter. It's very Gnostic. But it's real. So again, people die every day. It's women walking up and down these streets getting money. This motherfucker selling crack right now. This motherfucker smoking crack right now. This motherfucker's at work right now doing regular shit on a 9-to-5 grind right now, tapping into their alchemy. So it don't matter what level of life you want, you can always tap into your alchemy and open up your third eye and see much more than what's happening on the surface. So I think that, you know, again, I can talk about this shit all day, but I just want to give y'all a quick live stream. Even though this was not a quick live stream at all. But I'll definitely get back to the astrology videos starting tomorrow. Again, I got maybe another 7 or 8 of those. I'm gonna finish up the 12 zodiac signs. And I may do a video about the elements. So I'm gonna do the 12 zodiac signs. I'm gonna do the elements, and that'll be. I'm just doing the basics. So if you want more advanced, you will have to go to the website and all that. I'm gonna create like a membership. What's that called? I'm gonna create like a membership section on my website for those who want more stuff and all that. Because I know everybody's not into all this stuff, but if you are, I'm gonna create a little atmosphere for you. So I got that in the works. So let me get away from this traffic. So yeah, we definitely got that in the works. Just create a whole atmosphere for those who are into advanced situations, right? So I'm talking about the major arcana. So I'm gonna create a membership section on the website so we can start talking more about the minor arcana and how all these things manifest on the material plane, you know, etc., etc., etc. You know, I'll be doing exclusive live streams and all that. What is it? Webinars, web series and all that. I'm gonna have a whole nother, all this in the works. So I'm taking time to build the website so it can be a whole ecosystem of shit. You know what I mean? It'll be a whole plethora of information at your disposal. You know what I mean? You will have access to the free information if you want some paid products, you know, ebooks and all that stuff. All those things are in the works. So, you know what I mean? Just be patient with me. So we gonna get back to this. You know what I do on a daily basis. So I don't know. I may live stream a little bit later. If I want to tell some more stories, y'all let me know. Definitely leave a comment. Like the video, leave a comment. If you want more, you let me know. You know what I mean? If not, we're gonna keep the ball rolling. And I'll get it, y'all. I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow for sure. But in terms of the live stream, I may do another live stream later, or may do another one next week. However that schedule will work. So other than that, hold on. Let me turn this camera around. Y'all see the cops down here? Hold on. See if I can zoom down. Let me see. Y'all see those flashing lights? So for whatever reason, the block is hot. You see, I don't know. Like I said, it wasn't shit going on till I stepped outside. You already know what it is. So we out this bitch. And again, this is not the sign of peace. This is a sign of victory. That's why you see me with the hands cuffed. So this is peace. This is victory. So I'm leaving you motherfuckers with victory. Be victorious in life, regardless of your situation. Always be victorious. Utilize a Gnostic way of thinking. If you know you got some heart about yourself and you can go deeper into the occult aspects of life. All right, so we out this bitch. I'll leave y'all in peace, chaos, destruction, discord, madness, health, wealth, success, and absolute